Question mark.
Hi lads. The world is a bit of a rubbish place right now with COVID-19 and all the other terrible things that are going on. So that got me thinking about what other worlds you would like to go to. So, for example, would you like to go to the Pokemon world? Because I saw you posted just recently about Pokemon anniversary. Would you like to go into the Marvel world? Because also that made me think about most recently that man going up the hill in his Iron Man outfit. So, if you could go into any particular game, film, TV world, where would you go and what would you do there? All right, cheers, thanks.
So we have got another question mark. Great question from Mark today. Thought it was it's pretty deep. I mean,
It is.
it's a bit heavy from the start. I was a bit worried for him, to be honest,
Yeah.
hearing the sound of his voice.
He
But
needs a hug.
he does need, not in the current climate, Matthew.
Only if we're in his bubble.
Yeah, but great question. So I want to kick off with Steve. Your answer. What world would you want to live in?
Do you know what? This is really difficult because I agree. It was such a great question that come in, and I had, honest, thinking about it, I had multiple different answers. I mean, the natural thing is being in lockdown for so long, you initially think of, well, the TV world. What sort of stuff have I been watching? I thought, I've watched a lot of cartel stuff. I don't think that's quite for me.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's not relaxing, is it?
I prefer to stay in my home, but then obviously I remember watching The Circle, and that's kind of the same as what I'm doing now. And I can win 50k, but that's again probably not going to. You only one of you gets that, so not a good idea. But I had a little bit of thinking. There was two that really stuck in my mind, and so if you don't mind, I'd like to give both as potential answers. Because one of the gaming world, but one of the TV world, and the game world. It's funny you mentioned Football Manager earlier because like obviously within those games you can start off with the real players, but after you've played for like 2 or 3 seasons, some of the players that are in their later parts of their career, they retire, and you get these computerized characters come in.
The regens, yeah.
And if I could be one of those, that would be fantastic because like I could be a wonder kid that's like coming in at 16 years old, you know, and then end up, you know, playing for Barcelona or something, winning the Champions League on a weekly basis. I'd have regular contact with James because he's playing all the time. So, you know,
all the time.
So I thought that would be definitely one way I could go. But I wanted in the TV world as well. And I thought myself, I want to go like in an animated kind of world, like, and you know, the ideas of Pokemon and Marvel are not my strongest suit. But I thought myself, looking back, I thought The Simpsons would be quite fun to go in. And one computer game that I really was thinking about last week was Simpsons Road Rage. When you were doing your computer games, that I thought was an epic game. Wouldn't necessarily want to be in that environment, but it would be good to be like interacting with all the different characters and stuff. Yeah. So I tried to thought, what would I do if I was there? I mean, you could be like a teacher, so you could end up like working with obviously the younger characters in there. You could drink in Moe's Tavern, so you can interact with Homer, Barney, probably a few prank phone calls. And when you go home, I mean, lots of movies from Troy McClure that you haven't seen. So I mean, there's
amazing.
You're ticking all the boxes, yeah.
I thought about it, and I think it's probably the one for me, really. You know,
definitely.
I mean, great one.
I really like that. That's very clever. And mine, I didn't think of it. Well, actually, mine. I think I'm not sure if you would have seen it, Steve. I don't think we've ever talked about it. I know Matt would have seen it. Mine kind of crosses both elements, so movie and game. And I have to thank my son for this one. Would be Wreck-It Ralph.
Awesome.
What a game that would! I mean, that world, you would be able to jump from any game. Like you'd literally, that once the arcade shuts down, you all come out of your games and you can go into any one of them and play that game or whatever. I mean, for those who have seen it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But essentially, you're a character that can go in between different games. And even if you go into the second version of that film, which is where Ralph breaks the internet, you're then open to a whole world of the internet, which you can roam about on and go to all the different kind of websites and things like that to go and infiltrate and do whatever you want. There was other options I was thinking of, like Westworld. That would have been a pretty good one. I mean, love the show. Can be a little bit dark, but I guess you choose the path that you want to go on, whether you want to go around killing people or want to go up and hook up with prostitutes. But I thought, you know, let's keep it family friendly. Wreck-It Ralph for me.
That'd be awesome.
What would yours be, Matt?
Well, similar to Steve, I sort of cheated a bit and thought of two. One that's a complete well, they're both sort of fantasy ones. First one would be Star Wars based, but it would be Naboo, which Naboo is the planet that Queen Amidala comes from. So it's Natalie Portman's character in the prequels.
I wonder why.
Yeah, if she was there, that would be the bonus, obviously. And it's sort of beautiful, lush green fields. I think they filmed it in somewhere like Italy, so it's like lakes and rolling fields and beautiful sort of Italian-looking buildings and stuff, and it just looks so tranquil. In the prequel films, when Anakin and sort of Padme are there and getting to know each other and stuff, it just looks idyllic. Until the only issue I'd have with anything sort of Star Wars related is it's still got its real world scenarios where the Empire's going to invade you any minute and just kill everyone, something like that. So it possibly wouldn't remain.
That was exactly my fault with a lot of the options that crossed my mind, because it's easy for us to pick the nice elements of it, but what are the alternatives?
Downsides.
Yeah, I mean, for Steve, yours would be you get a really bad injury as a character in Football Manager, or in The Simpsons,
or James's laptop goes wrong and you wiped out.
and then you're wiped out. In The Simpsons, I'm guessing Mo. Is it Mo? No, not Mo. Mr. Burns might get involved somewhere, and
the reactor has a meltdown, and
exactly. There's always a downside. One of the ones I actually thought of was The Matrix. I'd love to go into The Matrix, but again, there's an element of danger in that, and that's why I think we've got to be have a good perspective with it. And sorry, Steve, go on.
I was going to say, one good thing with The Simpsons, though, that actually works relevant is that they tend to predict the future quite well. So at least
they
do. Ahead. So
they do indeed. Yeah. They do indeed. What was your other choice, Matt?
Well, I was going to say, linked to what you was just saying before I say my second one. I was asked exactly this question on Out of the Blank podcast that we did, but it was less about sort of current times are bad. It was more, if you could go into any world you could, what would you go into? And I actually sort of in that instance, because it wasn't necessarily a changing your world completely sort of thing, it would be Blade Runner is the one I picked in that instant. Just because it's futuristic, it's cool. There are robots, there are flying cars. It'd just been that extreme change.
What would the element of danger be in that?
Well, just crazy replicants like running around killing people, and like the whole ecosystem's ruined. There aren't any animals because they have to build their own robot animals, and the weather's appalling and there's pollution. So it's sort of our world, but in an extreme sense, but with cool stuff is the thing.
I think in my head, I imagined your choice would actually have been Fortnite.
No, because they're why do you want Fortnite? You're dropped on an island and you have to just kill everyone to survive. That's not.
But you're an expert. You're a bit of an expert at it, so I thought you might.
I'd be there. So
that guy.
Like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my second choice was a much more practical one, which James, you'll be familiar with my obsession with this particular thing. Being a fan of Seattle music, and my favourite documentary in the world, which is called Hype, which is about early 90s in Seattle and the music scene there, and having sort of being young, experienced that period of time, that'd be ideal. I like living on Earth. I like, being a human and that sort of thing. If I could have grown up in that place at that time with all the music I love, and I could go to a bar and see Nirvana or whatever it is, heaven, absolute heaven. You wouldn't have Corona. You'd be familiar with everything. Yeah. Amazing, absolutely amazing.
And you'd know the future as well.
Exactly. That's it.
You could become a millionaire by creating all the gadgets and gizmos.
Just get a job in Amazon, get some because that's from Seattle, right?
You could probably start up. When did Amazon start up? You could probably be the founder of it.
Late 90s. So yeah, I'd have a few years to buy some books and
there you go.
build a website.
Yeah. Well,